Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am your host Glenn Sam Sloan, hence the GSS, and videos is what I do. And in this video, we're going to talk a bit about the coronavirus and the ever-growing death toll because of the coronavirus. Right? And why the hell has Boris Johnson and his cronies thought it was time to ease the lockdown, right, allowing people to go out more, and then also going to ease it again a little bit more to let more people out to meet up in crowds of people, which is wrong because there's a lot of people here who's got. Hello, my friend. How you doing? There's a lot of people who've got serious health issues in a lot of people's families, and if they catch the coronavirus, it could be like that for them. They could die. Right? Anyone can catch it, but if you've got long-term health issues, you could die. Right? And the UK alone has got the highest rate of COVID-19 deaths on its death toll, right? And Boris Johnson, and I mean Boris Johnson, is actually easing the lockdown, and he's going to ease it a lot more, allowing people to go around friends' houses, and even have barbecues. Yes, they still would have to, social distance, but at the moment, are people social distancing? Not really. I've seen the people hanging around in groups of people even now, and they're not social distancing. They are sitting right next door to each other. All right, they not wearing masks because the government said that they don't need to wear masks, when the NHS is saying they want us to wear masks. The NHS is saying we want us to wear masks to protect ourselves and to help the NHS. But I can come up here. There you go. That's good, my friend. That's good. I'm glad that he's now better. My mum also had COVID-19, and so I did my twin sister. They got it at the same time. Well, the day they both got COVID-19, I was with them in Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. Right, both of them caught it. I was lucky enough not to catch it. Right, that May. I haven't yet caught it, and I don't want to catch it because I actually got a serious heart condition, which I was due to go for operation before COVID-19 showed its face. So I'm not happy with Boris Johnson thinking it. Oh, let's drop the ease the lockdown, because we're going to have more. Oh yeah, my mum and my twin sister are both okay now. My twin sister is a key worker. She works with adults with dementia. My older sister works with disabled kids in the special dream school. So she's also a key worker. My mum, she has a heart condition, but a different one to myself. So my mum has to isolate. I have to isolate. But I live in supported housing, right? And I've got like my support workers. Some of my support workers do not bother coming in with masks on their face. The masks, not wearing masks or gloves or hand sanitizing. All right, and I say, "Where's your mask? Where's your gloves? Where's your hand sanitizer?" And I said, "Oh, we don't have to wear them." Do you? Yes, you do. All right. There's three of us actually in this place where I am now. It's actually social is isolating, and that's me. My friend lives I'm not going to mention names. Me and 2 other blokes that were actually self-isolating. Me and 2 other blokes. Why do you think we should lower the lockdown? Because when we had lockdown before, do you social distance? You don't go too close to other people. If you don't go too close to other people, you're kind of protecting yourself, but you do need to wear masks. And then I get where you don't want to wear masks because, let's face it, the vets, much I call them the vets, are fucking idiots. I mean, what's it called? The MPs, the Prime Minister, bunch of fucking tosspots, aren't they? Don't you think a bunch of drinking tosspots? Boris Johnson, the biggest joke in this country's ever seen, right? And Boris Johnson can't even organise a piss up in the brewery, let alone run a fucking country like England. You know what I mean? So, if you want to jump on the web on these live, you're more than welcome. If you want to jump in the live, you're more than welcome, my friend. Click that link there in the chat. It will take you straight backstage, and then I'll click you up onto the stage here, on front stage. Okay. So, yes, come on. This is our time to have our say about the coronavirus. So come on. If you want to jump on the broadcast and join and have your say, please feel free to. Okay. I personally think Boris Johnson is a joke. Nothing more, nothing less than a joke. He's not running his country the way he should be run. It's a bit like how can I put it? Theresa May. And frankly, I would like to see Boris Johnson step down and get someone else who actually would do the job properly. Boris Johnson has been saying not to use the not to wear masks. He's been saying we don't need to wear masks, right? We've been saying we don't need to wear gloves, but the NHS are saying it. And then my support service, they're saying, well, the managers of the support service, so we're following the government guidelines. No, all right. Is it really? Is it really? You're following the government guidelines? Yeah. Is it, well, don't bother following the government guidelines, follow the NHS guidelines. The NHS wants us to wear masks, not the government. The government are not doing their job properly. I voted. I did vote, but I didn't vote for this bunch of morons that was empowering now. I voted for no more than Green Party because yes, okay, I know Green Party wouldn't get in. I knew Green Party wouldn't get in, but I didn't want to waste my vote and give my vote to Labour because I think now a bunch of morons, and I didn't want to give my vote to Conservatives because they also a bunch of morons, right?
Hello.
Hello.
Do you remember me?
I do remember you.
Yeah, that's why I contacted you on thingy and all that. Remember?
Yes, you're the Xbox dude.
Yeah, pretty much the leading board. Yeah, my Xbox was taken off me for some time. I'm
Yeah.
very bored, so I'm on my phone really.
Well, so you like watching, you like the kind of the politics side, do you?
I'm more of a military man. Well, for example, I prefer more of like the army and all that. Like, if I had to pick a PM, like Prime Minister, I want it to be, like someone that's seen their fair share of war and like, fought for this country. I'm like, politics is good. I like politics because that gets our country power and all that. Good trading routes and great alliances. But
I voted out, so I'm glad we're out. But I didn't want. We don't need a deal. I mean, when we first come out, when Boris Johnson, no, so Winston Churchill was about, he fought for his Green country, right, in the war. He can become prime minister. He fought for our freedom there and all, and now he'd be turning his grave if he sees our country like going to pot again. No, so
yeah. What's the death rate right now? Like, how many people have died from it and how many people could die from it right now?
Yeah, but the UK death rate, death toll, is past way past 47,000 people.
I have a question. Is it relaxing or is it getting worse?
So again,
Is it relaxing or is it getting worse?
it's not. They're saying it's relaxing, but it's not relaxing.
Is it getting better?
I don't think it's
Is
getting
it
better.
just like medium?
No.
Okay, well, that's kind of bad. Thought it was starting to relax,
It's going to get worse before it gets better. I'm guaranteeing you this. And the reason I'm saying that we need a tougher lockdown is because I've already lost a dear friend of mine because of COVID.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Oh, rest in peace.
that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying we need it more stricter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, this is something though, because I was at Bournemouth the other day because my dad and mum, they're like divorced, and my mum allowed me to go visit my dad as long as I stayed in his apartment and with his girlfriend. So we wouldn't go out, although they apparently speak to my mum, and I didn't want to go out. I did tell my dad I don't want to go out because we were going to have takeout, like a picnic or something, and I was like, no, it's over in here. But they made me go out. I actually didn't want to go out. There was a lot of people there, and they weren't really in the 2 meter radius. A lot of them were just sitting on benches together, talking. Like you
Well,
had to see the next day because I stayed there for 2 days. We went for a run on the mark. I didn't want to run for two reasons. I don't want to run 2 miles and all that. But he made me. The beaches were packed. Like I don't think people were taking this seriously. They need to start taking it more seriously because
they're
like
not
when it
taking.
was the plague.
They're
The
not taking.
plague wiped out half of Europe because there's only one thing we managed to do to keep humanity living: fire.
Yeah.
Like it's only by killing our own. I
Well,
don't want to kill our own, obviously, but what's your take on this?
the only way we can kick the coronavirus back to where it belongs, right? Don't where it come from. We all know where it come from. Mention no names or no countries, but I know where it come from. If all of us get together and go from the same sort of side, you know what I mean? Work on the same side, don't just work against each other. And at the moment, Boris Johnson and his cronies are actually working against everyone. They're not working.
I'm pretty sure there's a few phases. We're on phase 3, right? Phase 4's like, no working, stay at home, no exercising there. Phase.
And when he eased it a bit, he came alive, didn't he?
What? I think I just spoke for a second.
Huh?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking my connection just went down. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. when Boris Johnson eased the lockdown, when he came live and he spoke to the nation, it was wasn't, how can I put it, very clear. Yeah, you can go out. No, you can't go out. Yes, you can go to work if you can't. If you can't work at home, but he wasn't being clear with it. You know what I mean? He could have said it a lot better in a lot better way, because now he makes him sound like a joke. When everyone always thought he was a joke, he made him sound like a joke. Which I think I didn't vote for him. I voted for Green Party, but never mind. Right? Yeah, I do.
The thing is, it's also about. I'm pretty sure it's mutating, ain't it?
So again.
Hold on, excuse me. So, one.
So.
1 sec.
The UK now has the highest rate of confirmed deaths from COVID-19 worldwide, close to 5 in every million people per day. From the last 7 days show that average death rate in the UK is now more than
I'm back.
France. I think, yeah, right. We are way over 47,000 death on the death toll, right? And highest in the whole world, higher than France and Italy. And Italy got it fast. Italy got the corona fast, right?
We need to go into phase 5, in my opinion. Just like keep everyone home, like deliver foods, like like maybe put a box of foods, weekly supplies, or monthly supplies if we can, and just like stop this virus. Because my mum goes to work still. Although to be honest, she does just go there, and they know the people that live there because she's like a caretaker. Let's just say, well, no, she cares after people, which is a needed job.
Your mum's a key worker.
Well, no, she cares for people. I'm not sure the exact name.
She's classed as key worker. Right, key worker. I live in supported housing because of my learning disabilities, right? And my support workers are key workers. So, carers, support workers, nurses, doctors, postmen, delivery drivers, shop workers, police, fire service, paramedics are all key workers. You know what I mean? I believe even farm workers also are key workers because they work with food and crops and stuff. You know what I mean? So we do need our key workers because they're helping keep our country going, but we also need to keep people as much. If you're not going out, if you're not key working, you're not going out to work. You need to stay in unless you're doing your weekly shop, right? Because we've tried it before with going out with for daily exercise. That wasn't working. They eased it, allowing people to go.
Are people still doing their daily exercises? So
I'm not going to do. I'm doing daily exercise, but I'm doing it inside, not outside.
Yeah, that's good. People with gardens can still do it in even their bedroom.
Yeah,
just jumping jacks or dumbbells or something. They don't have to go outside and risk their lives and risk other people's lives.
Exactly.
I'm like, I'm sure just activate phase 5. The only people allowed out are police, NHS if emergencies, and just deliver food.
Yeah. Right. I would personally like to get food delivered, right? Save me from going out because I have a heart condition. I'm actually
my nan, she's obviously elder, but elderly people can still survive. It's just more unlikely, ain't it? Well, my nan, she ain't infected with it. She's following the rules because I'm pretty sure elderly people ain't allowed out at all to risk their,
Well, my
poor
nan's
thing.
not going out.
Yeah, that's good. But she's got a compromised immune system. She's diabetes. Now, diabetes and heart attacks run in my family, so like, I'm not sure if it's more easier to get me. Even though I ain't got diabetes or heart attack, it is more likely for me to have them because it runs in my family.
Yeah.
But what's it called? My nan, if she gets it because she's got a compromised immune system, like she really won't be able to fight it because she's got like diabetes and all that.
If you can get hold of, I bought a load of masks off of Amazon, right? And hand sanitizer I bought from Aldi and Tesco, right? But because I can't order my food delivery to come in, I had to go shopping once a week because people, Tesco and all that, are not got enough slots for home delivery or even click and collect.
I think Tesco's the best shop to go at because they only let a certain amount of people in at a time. But the glass is protecting them 2 meter radius to actually make sure not many people will be allowed in, like I just said. So I think Tesco's the best place to go because you're most likely if you follow their rules, you're going to be fine. Also, they also wipe the trolleys if you use them with like the special wipes or something.
Sainsbury's does that too. Sainsbury's also let in the elderly and the disabled into their store before it actually opens, so they can actually do their shopping safer in a safe community, safe surrounding, away from other people that could carry it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what Sainsbury's are doing. Which
is
nice. It's good, but they're not doing it properly. They're not doing it properly because they're doing it before. They're doing it about 6 o'clock in the morning, and let's face it, how many elderly members and disabled members of this country are up at that time? 9.
What, at Bournemouth?
Anyway, anywhere in the UK, if there's the same person in your town, right, the elderly and the disabled can go there before the store opens to do their shopping, before it's open to the rest of the public, right? So, but they're opening it. They're letting them in at 6 o'clock in the morning. So how much are the elderly? How much of the elderly and disabled people are awake at 6 o'clock in the morning? There isn't much.
No, not really.
So yes, it's good if you're awake, but that means.
But I'm pretty sure elderly don't need that much sleep, don't they? Like, as you get older, don't like sleep become a less thing. Don't they only need like 6 hours at most sleep? Well,
Well, what I think they should do is actually have to make the lockdown more stricter, stopping people from going out for a daily exercise, only allowing people to go out for like once a week to do the daily food shop and all that, and also have the armed forces on our streets because no one's listening to the police, but they've got the armed forces on the streets with their guns. Are they going to argue?
Probably not because they're armed forces. I'm like, yeah, military police on standby. I'm normal police, obviously.
Yeah. If we can't get the armed forces, then we need to get the armed police on the street, and then they will listen. Then people will start listening and go, "Oh, damn, we can't do this, we can't do that." And then coronavirus in the UK alone, the death toll would gradually drop, right? And then we get clear of it. You know what I mean? So
it's just making me think, like most of our like viruses and plagues that we've had in humanity, we've only been able to defeat them a few ways.
Yeah.
Like, what if it comes to that one way that we don't want to go through?
Well, Yourself, I bet you're missing your school friends, aren't you?
Yeah, I was a bit happy to get a big break, but yeah, no school. But now I'm just like really, really sad because I actually, I wanted to finish year 8. I'm like, you really miss your friends when you start to think about it.
Yeah. So you're not missing school. You're missing your friends, your school friends.
And education, obviously, I still need to get some summer school. I am missing my well, not hobby. I'm not really good at it, but I am missing my activities I do out of school as well.
Well, at the moment, while we're all locked down, all we can do is keep safe, stay safe, only go out when we really need to, like weekly shop. All right. For you, if you want to go to your dad's house, all right. Does your dad live far?
Yeah, I don't want to go there anymore because he just thinks it's normal to go outside and have a picnic. And like legit, to be honest, I was trying to say 2 meters away, but legit, people were walking like right next to each other on a pathway, even though I'm kind of getting past them,
Yeah. Wow. With my dad,
well, it really surprised me. No, hold on. There was this sign. Yeah, there was this sign saying "too busy." Think twice, head home. But everyone was there. It was well busy. Like legit, tens and tens of people just on the beach. To be honest, there were a lot of people like spread out apart, but some people just didn't care. They were right next to each other.
Yeah.
And, like people ain't taking it seriously. It's not exactly a joyride or like a holiday.
I live near.
You should be at home.
I live near Handstanton, right? And there's
Me,
Handstanton beach, right?
pardon?
I live near Handstanton. You know Handstanton?
Handstand. No, I've never heard of it.
It's a seaside town, right? I live right near it, and I don't even go out. I don't even go that far. I don't go from the town that I'm living to Handstanton, right? To go there. While this pandemic is going through, right? Because it's not safe to. It's not advisable to, right? There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of people there that could catch it, and sadly, I can't put it. No more to them. No more. Catch it and go no more. Right? But if someone else if someone catches it, they can never get over it. Like my mum's got over it. My twin sister's got over it. If I catch it, because of my heart condition, I could die. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm like, I do. People do believe there's another way we can actually get rid of the virus, which is a vaccine. Countries are working on the vaccine, but like, I haven't heard any proper new updates about it. So I don't think a vaccine's really going to be good for a few years.
Yeah, but also another thing about that vaccine, we have to pay for it. If you want it, we have to pay for it.
Yeah, that disgusts me because like we're National Health Service. Like, I'm like, to be honest though, it's only for the people with coronavirus, so they don't need to give it to normal people. They need to give it to the people with the coronavirus for free. And why should we pay for them? I'm like, if England has to pay for the virus, they should do that for their people, And we're not exactly,
If Boris Johnson open the schools, he should get that vaccine, all right, and take it into schools and get on the first day of school, that school opening, all right, the school's opening, get the students of that school to have that vaccine with the knowledge the parents go ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if it could keep on mutating, couldn't it? It could just keep on mutating because I'm pretty sure it mutated not long ago. And like, if it keeps on mutating, it's going to be harder to, withstand the virus.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that if they want to give us the vaccine, then they shouldn't ask us to pay for it. They shouldn't expect us to pay for it. They should actually give it to us on their national health, the NHS. That's what I'll say anyway. Right.
I just wonder, like, if we did all just like go out and just not care about it, and like, wouldn't we beat the virus eventually? Because like, obviously, loads of people die. I'm not saying we should. It's really, really, really bad idea. But like, if we just kept on like going out and just went back to normal, and like obviously loads of people would die, but eventually it would just stop because most people would beat the virus and a large amount would die from the virus. I'm not saying do that. That's a
Yeah, a lot of
massively bad idea. And the Boris Johnson says that we're going to legit kick him out of Parliament.
well,
But
my
like,
I've got a dear
wouldn't
friend
that do it?
who died because of COVID, because the hospital up this end, when you went into hospital for something completely different, right? The hospital moved her from the ward she was on to the COVID ward even before she had COVID, right? And she caught COVID in that hospital because they wrongly moved her. So that's the hospital down this end. So I'm not happy with this hospital down here because they moved a dear friend of mine who didn't have COVID to the COVID ward where she caught it. So
Wait, so they made him caught it because they placed him like in the area, I would say. Is that what you said?
yeah,
Like the best area.
they killed my dear friend, right? And her parents, like her parents,
Yeah,
I'm not happy with it, right?
that's not good, is it? Because like people can't die.
Yeah,
Is there any countries untouched by the virus right now, or is like at least every country got at least 1% of the virus in?
well, with I don't know exactly how much the uh, I don't know who's got the high. Well, I know we got the highest. The UK's got the highest, but I don't know who's the lowest. I think it's where is it? I don't know who's got the lowest now. I did know who got the lowest, but that's changed. And we didn't have the highest but now we have. You know what I mean? We didn't have the highest, but because Boris Johnson didn't listen to the rule, the warnings. Because that's another thing about Boris Johnson saying before he even caught coronavirus, he was saying you don't need to wear this, you don't need to wear masks and gloves and hand sanitizers. But now, when he caught it and he went off with it, right, to isolate and all stuff like that, he didn't come back and said, "Oh, didn't tend to display." He said, "Yeah, we need to wear this and we need to wear that." He's blaming it on the public that the reason the NHS hasn't got disposable masks. All right. With me, I'm not buying disposable masks. I bought two.
We should vote him out or something.
All right. I bought 6 washable masks, and I sorted out loads of my old shirts and t-shirts that don't fit me. And I asked my mother to make a load and then give them out to people. Right? And that's what she's been doing. She's made me a couple as well. So I've got a couple that I made. My mother made that off. So what I did, we weren't supposed to do this, but I went spoke to my mother's house with the bag of my old t-shirts and shirts, and he's left me. Okay. And she made loads of them. I took it to my mum's house, put it on the doorstep, rang the doorbell, walked away. All right. And when my mum then got down and with her sewing machine and made some masks, which is good because and now she's made some masks for what's that?
In my back. Oh, sorry, I accidentally left. I was going on chat. Yeah, I went on chat to see my comments and all that. What I said before. Then I accidentally pressed leave. I was like, did I press leave? And I was just like, oh yeah, I must stop because I'm off the home screen now. Yeah, so but I accidentally left.
Look, because I'm using the computer. People are using computers. They can see the chat as well as being in. All right, but if you're on both devices, you have to come off the chat to come off the camera to see the chat. Is like that. It's not very good.
Yeah, I think I accidentally hit one of my big toenails into my foot. And I'm not sure how I done it, but I managed to do it.
That's not good. That's painful.
Oh no, my foot's fine. It was painful a bit, it will just for a second, but like it wasn't painful. I didn't mean it to go straight in my foot. It just, grazed it kind of.
Well, I would like to see this, like I'm saying before, I'm saying it before, saying it before, I'm saying it now. I would like to see this lockdown to come back more stricter. That's what I would like. All right. Yeah, it's the only way we can get rid of the coronavirus from our country. You know what I mean?
Do you know how good Russia's doing?
So again,
Do you know what Russia's doing? Like how good they're doing with the virus?
no.
Do you want to type it up? Because like I'm not trying to be thingy, but like they've actually attacked people for being trying to be a part of NATO. It's like I think I think it's good that NATO is kind of surrounding Russia because they're trying to start a more communist, and communists could start spreading to England. I'm not communist myself because like communists are just people are more sad and all that. Not like sad. I mean like more miserable because you always have to work and all that.
Have a look. Oh. Right.
USSR, not USSR, sorry, Russia. USSR stands for Unions of Soviet, like something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Social, like republics.
Well, not coming up. Oh, it is. It's going slow. It's just going a bit slow. Let's have a look.
And my war if Russia uses this to, start World War III. Because if they're doing good with it, listen now.
You can now begin to release its PPE.
Challenge, and I'm absolutely delighted that Lord Dighton has stepped up and is helping us to deliver against it. This is probably
I like that man. I don't like that man.
Forward in the treatment of coronavirus since the crisis began.
I don't like that man.
Early steps, but we're determined to support the science and back the projects that show promise. We do understand the need
our
for
Prime Minister and his party are a disgrace to that flag.
Concerns that we've had all the way through this, and so I think, especially coming from a man of the cloth, I think that is a perfectly reasonable way that question. I'll have to talk to my Treasury colleagues before.
He's also a disgrace that his flag as well. That guy there. Where is it? Let's have a look so we can find it.
Not again. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. I can't work this out. This is hard. Well,
yeah, I'm not sure for how long.
How the hell can people understand that? You know what I mean? I can't. Let's have a look. USX in New York. Hang on. This is the US. I think that's their percentage. I think must be their percentage. The UK. Hang on. The UK there. Oh, this one really. We're not the highest. That doesn't seem right because apparently we're the highest, and in the next minute you're not. Silly idiots. Yeah, StreamYard doesn't always like to work on mobile devices.
Oh man.
Right. Look at this. This is another one. Total coronavirus deaths. Uh-huh. The US is got, what's the UK? Where's
I
the
just
UK?
saw UK was kind of like you're going. I'm pretty sure 2 below. Yeah, one below, one below. There we are.
Okay, it's saying that now the Americas took over from us. That's who starts off saying America's taking over for us. So America's got, hang on, America's got 98,834 total deaths. The UK's got 37,000 and 48 total deaths. So, okay, by this, we've dropped. But have we really? Hopefully, yes. What's the highest? Yes, it's got to be the it looks like the New York, oh, not New York, US has got the highest. Then the UK, then Italy, then Spain, then Brazil, Mexico, Canada, India. So we're still the second highest. According to this, we're the second highest. You know what I mean?
What if people like use this, well, for example, like Russia, we're at our weakest point, NATO's weaker, What if they use that as like a good thing? Maybe we should start doing more military forces as well, like maybe try, just so we're more prepared. Or something like get more soldiers in the field so I've been tested, maybe.
It is.
I don't mean invade Russia. I mean just stay more prepared. So make sure we got enough soldiers to at least defend ourselves for a big enough time for everyone else to defend themselves. So then we can all, Although to be honest, if it was World War III, I don't think at the end we'll be all good. Like at World War II we weren't all good, but we weren't all dead. But I think World War III will probably be going. It'll probably be the Great War instead of World War One, because there'll be no one left to fight because it'll just be nuclear everything. I'm like, if we had to fight, I at least don't want to use nuclear war. I think nuclear power shouldn't be made like a war crime or something.
Well,
because
at the moment, right, we need to all work from the same. How can I put it? Battleship, because it's like a war, isn't it? So we work with a battleship, right? The UK is a battleship, right? And everyone in the UK, including the Boris Johnson and his cronies, to all work for the same. Call it the same decision, and at the moment, no one is, because Boris Johnson's not making it easy. And he's not protecting his country. He can't organise a piss up in the brewery.
What would you do if Scotland wanted independence? Just like an off-topic question. Like, would you give them it? Because I prefer not to, because we want to at least keep what our legacy is, like the British Empire's. Most of it's gone these days, but at least keep some of.
Last time I've heard about that, there was more Scottish people that wanted to stay with the UK, with England. So there'd be more people want to stay with the UK, with England, than Scots people who don't want to stay with England. So we look like that Scotland is going to stay with us. You know what I mean? And Northern Ireland don't want to stay with us as well. Okay. It's crashed again. Ladies and gents, here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here is a bit of an update about COVID-19.
COVID-19 mortality crisis in the UK. Well, let's have a look at the data that we've just had through. This line shows you the average number of deaths in each week of the year for the last 5 years, and this is across the whole of the UK. Let's have a look at 2020. You can see the pandemic striking there a very big number of what they call excess deaths. So anything above
Anyway,
that line
ladies
is
and
what's called
gentlemen,
excess
I will be
deaths.
back with
Then
you
it
very
came
shortly.
down, the
Listen
number
to
of
this.
excess deaths,
I'm
but
going to
then it
make a cup of
started to
coffee.
rise
I'll be back
just in
with
that
you
latest
very
week,
shortly.
which we
In
have
fact,
data now. That is primarily because of registrations. It's not necessarily an uptick in the severity of the disease or in deaths. It's because registrations just were lower that week than they should have been, and higher that week as they were catching up. So be reassured that we're not necessarily seeing a rise in deaths there, but certainly that line there, the black line, is well above the average. And when you tot up all the number of people who have sadly died, both of this disease and other causes, it is getting to a terrifying level. So COVID-19 deaths since March, again for the whole of the UK, we're talking about around 45,000. Add on other excess deaths that haven't necessarily got an explanation above that line, and you're talking about an extra 14,000. And then the deaths that we've had in the period since May the 15th, because most of that data is from May, is around 3,000 to 7,000. That's according to the Institute of Faculty of Actuaries, and that would imply 64,000 excess deaths so far as a result of this pandemic. The number far higher than anyone would have liked to have seen, and much of that is because of where it's happened. So these show you excess deaths. The lines, anything above the line is an excess death here. At home, hospitals, and particularly care homes. You can see the epicenter of this crisis, just showing you how far those lines are above zero, is in care homes. Even now you're seeing lots of excess deaths in care homes in these latest data. And part of the consequence of that is the UK does have one of the worst mortality crises in the world. In fact, now the UK, in population adjusted terms, COVID-19 deaths per million has now overtaken Italy, and only Belgium and Spain have bigger outbreaks in terms of deaths per million of the population. You can see actually Sweden a little way down there, Ireland and the US there, but the UK unfortunately rising in that league table.
Which one of these foods contains a protein that can make your arthritis pain worse? You'll learn the answer in this quick 3-minute video. Here's what happened when people like you with arthritis stopped eating this protein.
I'm Teresa Hershey. About 1.5 years ago, I started having chronic knee pain, and it was very severe. I couldn't hardly walk. After the second week, I got up off the couch free of pain. I said, it's working, yay!
My name is Greg Mormon. I had back pain for years, and it only was getting worse and worse and worse. When the severe sciatic condition would kick in, it would cause my right leg to go completely like numb. Like I would collapse. I said, this is crazy. I'm not even 60 years old yet. I'll try anything. To my astonishment, actually thinking I was dreaming because I had no back pain, it healed me so fast. It was like I answered the prayer. There can't be any other explanation.
My name is Kate Method, and I'm very active in different kind of activities with my church.
I'm back.
The issue was I was just pretty so bad. I wondered if it was a natural response rather than the harsh chemicals that they have, because I've been on Celebex for years. Like in 2 weeks, it was starting to come around. I've gone from a 9 down to a 3. Oh, this is pretty cool.
Welcome back.
And I'm able to
I am back once again.
Walk my dogs.
But I changed my name this time.
I'm scared to death.
Sorry about that. Okay. That just goes to show. Is that a boa you wearing there?
Well, if you read my name, it'll make sense. Can you read my name?
I can't see in the name, but I've got the banner up here. I put the banner up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not sure if I use it on the maker, but I sometimes just put on. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm not really supposed to have this on anywhere. Just decided to. It's like, I'm a part of ACF, if you didn't know. I just like to do that. But I can't do it because it's locked down. Yay! Like, yeah, I respect it. I just like doing ACF.
Right. It's lockdown. It's coronavirus. And look at these people here.
Really?
Are these people here social distancing?
No, that is not social distancing. There's a kid there. There's a bike there. They're all into a massive group.
That kid is obviously lives with this guy here. There's two kids there. So
Good parenting.
right, they live with dad. That's fine because they live with the dad and their parents. So the parents don't have any social distance from the parents because they live together. But she isn't too far away, so she's kind of social distancing. She's not too close to anyone.
Okay, I guess that's.
They should be wearing masks. These people here, look at them. These people here are not social distancing.
Oh, great.
That
No,
person
fine.
saying to sit down smoking a bag.
Sorry if I saw what happened then.
What are they? Have a look.
The pre-lockdown versus the during lockdown look. Even with shops set to
Oh,
reopen,
so that's good.
retail may well be different again.
We're going to have a line of customers outside. Charge will be fine thing. We'll have a notice from one at a time. So as one's gone out, one's come in. We'll have hand sanitize here.
At the Cat and Mouse boutique, they're laying plans. A boost in online sales has just about sustained them through lockdown, but it's been tough. They're excited to reopen, but wary about restrictions.
People like to touch. We've got wallets here. They like to check if it's real leather. They like to open it. That's what our customers do. They touch all the clothes. So we will have to teach them without being preachy on please don't touch them unless you think you're really going to buy it. But that is going to reduce sales. It's a tricky one.
To reopen shops.
What they could do is, and what they can do, what business should do, is have boxes and boxes of gloves, disposable gloves, and hand sanitizer. Right? But do this, right? This shop is just reopened, right?
That's what our customers do. They touch all the clothes.
Yes.
So we will have to teach them without being preachy on please don't touch them unless you think you're really going to buy it. But that is going to reduce sales. It's a tricky one.
Right. They can't stop the customers from touching the merchandise to take a closer look. Right. So what they can do is advise their customers to wear masks or even use hand sanitizer or both.
Or hold on, they could take have you ever seen those gloves? Like gloves, and then take a pair of gloves after you're done, throw them in the bin. The biohazard bin with those bins that you have in your school thing. So they could do that, and then they can check what they want to buy. That'll be a smarter option. And obviously the hand sanitizer, that could be good as well. Same with masks. Because if someone coughs on it, it's not going to be good, is it?
Disposable gloves. That's the way. That's the way the customers can still have hands on and touch the merchandise to take a closer look at the merchandise, and then they also hand sanitize as well. Masks, they'll be safer.
To reopen, shops must ensure safety. That will mean reviewing layouts and reducing numbers to maintain distancing, and regular sanitizing of touch points like door handles. While customer handling of merchandise will need to be kept to a minimum, which means fitting rooms should be closed, and a 72-hour quarantine of items returned, donated, or regularly handled. Sticking to the rules in smaller shops is one thing. In shopping centres, it's an operation.
I think as a centre, the big challenge is to make sure that people are following the guidance. We've got a lot of store signage down telling people to keep left, which will get us that flow around the centre. You get people that don't follow that, it's going to be quite difficult.
But if numbers stay low and shops can't pay leases, the centres themselves are at risk.
The high street was already having a tough time before COVID came along. But last month, online sales as a proportion of all retail were at an all-time high. Hardly surprising during lockdown. But the fear for many is that those habits will hold.
And then there's consumer confidence. Open markets are set to reopen sooner and may feel safer for shoppers.
I think it can open in July when government show that everything is okay. But at the moment we are scared.
I think it's right. Once people wear their masks and
take their medication.
No, that's not wearing your mouth properly.
Because it's putting the country in a lot of stress. I personally think it's too soon. Because I think they're opening schools as well quite quickly as well. So I feel like if they're going to open it, like everything just calm down now. If they open it back again, you have a risk of it rising again.
Where's your mask?
Sales of jumpers and jewellery fund jobs. June may bring some relief, but many retailers
Hello, my
are still
friend, hello.
holding their breath.
I think we'll be okay, but by December, who knows?
Helen Ann Smith, Sky News.
The funeral industry has been ripping off the public for more than a decade because the majority of people don't know the simple trick that takes just a few minutes.
This is how you salute. Well, kinda. I think I got that wrong. It's been a while since I've been Army Cadets. See, what's it called? The US, the UK, and like everyone has their own salute. That's I don't think that's even the American salute. British salute's like kind of curved, something like that. I haven't been cadets in a while. Kind of like that. Normally you wouldn't salute without a barrier because it's kind of disrespectful, apparently.
Yeah. My twin sister and my little brother used to be in the Army Cadets.
Mm.
But I've
only been to one camp because I went to annual camp and I managed to get past my recruit to go into 1-star training. But I can't really do my 1-star training. I could have been to so many camps. I was supposed to go to like 4 camps by now, I would say. And no, I can't. I'm like, obviously it's better inside, but because it's locked down on it. But you know, I'm missing out now, so I'm sad. Did you do Army Cadets again? I didn't know correctly.
I've never done the Army Cadets. I was interested in the cadets, but I have been interested in the regular army and the TA.
I'm not. If you tell me what you would like to do like normally, I could pick a few regiments.
I would join the TA to become a medic in the army, but they wouldn't have me.
A medic?
Yeah, they wouldn't have me because my
you could join the infantry.
I can't join any.
Really?
Because of my learning disability and my deafness, they won't have me. Sorry.
Oh, obviously something else. I'm like, can't you join the reserves? Maybe reserving.
They don't want me. It's a shame because I want to be in the army, but I can't.
Times today as though there was another new Tory MP popping his head above the parapet or hers every 20, 30 minutes or so. Someone else who was...
That's down near... That's the... Is it? Westminster. Duh. Just it there. I thought I recognised that building.
was sharing a message with their constituents to say, I'm with you, Dominic Cummings shouldn't stay in his job. Good news for the government in just the last hour or so, though. Jeremy Hunt, the man who contested the last stages of the Tory leadership contest against Boris Johnson, he turned around and said, although he thought Dominic Cummings hadn't done the right thing, he wasn't in favour of scalp hunting. I'm told that people in Number 10 are looking through the lists of names of the 30-plus MPs who are out there, and they're sensing, even on the right and on the left, they're names that they would expect to be there quite a lot.
Boy, it's hot.
Committee chair, people who they think are probably just trying to establish their independence. They're not
I
yet...
sleep in the boiling room as well. Well, not exactly like the boiler's just there. Well, it's in like one of my cupboards.
It's hot.
Yeah, all the pipes in like the boiling room's just in my cupboard, and like pipes are just below my flooring. Like sometimes though, I do get heat flooring, so that's kind of nice. But like, still, I am boiling.
Wow.
No, I have decent self-heating as well, so it's even worse because my body's, it heats up a lot.
Right, I am. Where I live, I don't need to run on the heating. It's really that hot. It's that hot. I don't need heating on it. It's that well. It's baking hot. You know what I mean?
in there to properly worry them, though of course that could change. The opinion polls that we've
Can I
seen
have a
already
say
today,
about the
and there
coronavirus
will be more,
and
and the government
the-
are pouring
the-
over their
the
own
death toll
private opinion polls, I'm sure. Those
the
are
easing
looking,
of
the
the-
public
of the
ones, pretty
lockdown.
grim. I'm told that some of the
talking about this burden on the video here, not the guy below us. I mean, this guy talking about the guy I just paused. We're going to talk about coronavirus and the lockdown.
Yeah, dude. It's kind of getting late. I mean, I'm probably just gonna go chill on YouTube for a bit.
Yeah.
But you know, it's nice seeing you again.
Yeah.
I'll stay in touch. Oh yeah, you play GTA, right?
Yes.
Have you ever done any heists?
I've done the casino heist.
Oh, that's the heist I'm planning on doing. I bought arcade because I've done the casino heist with my mates. So I bought arcade so I can start doing casino heists.
But the casino heists are not actually easy. You had to sort of have a game plan.
Hold on, are you a good hacker?
Huh?
Are you all right hacker? Like you know how to hack?
Not the games I don't.
Okay. Well, I know you're a very, very, very good hacker. Anyway, would you be interested maybe one time to do the casino heist? Because I need the gunman again.
I would help it. Myself and the crew I'm in, we help anyone, right?
Okay. Well, this is where I sit. So if you're like my mate, yeah, he's a master at hacking. He got all the doors hacking. We still had a decent amount of time left. So he's like, that's the hacker of the team. Obviously, I'm still going to be the person hosting the team. If you help out a lot and like do good, you know, like really, really good, put a lot of effort in, you get bigger cut. Like Alfie's going to get decent cut because he's the hacker.
If you make hacks games, I wouldn't mention his name.
Yeah, no, I don't mean like hacker as in. I meant as in casino heist. You have to hack. No, I don't mean the actual hacker.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not on about that. I'm not on about like actually hacking GTA to just move to. I meant the casino heist. You know how to do the fingerprint hack.
No, I get you. Yeah, I can't hack those computers either.
No, it's fine. My mate can just do it.
But I've got people in this crew at Armin. They can hack those computers. So they do the hacking. And I can't because I can't do it. I can't hack the computers. But you need the game plan. You need
Shit. I think I quit. Did I quit? Did I leave? Oh no, I don't. Okay, I'm gonna go anyway.
Yeah, you need the game plan.
I'm just gonna go chill on YouTube.
When doing the casino heists, you want a game plan, and you get everyone that you're playing with to go from that game plan. You know what I mean?
Okay, so are you in? Like, you can help me do some setups maybe or something?
I can help you out something.
Yeah, I ain't got my Xbox at the moment, so I'll contact you. Yeah, I'll contact you. I'm gonna go chill now. Bye.
Yeah, speak to that, my friend. Speak to that. He's a nice guy. He just
evidence that the government is looking at could be a bit more in the grey area and giving a tiny bit of comfort to Dominic Cummings. But the truth is, the Prime Minister, everybody you talk to in government says this, isn't entirely sure what he'd do without Dominic Cummings. He is so central, the hub with the spokes coming out of it to this government, and really doesn't want to engage with the idea of losing him. There is, of course, as well, a massive public health messaging issue around the whole Dominic Cummings saga, and the government is going to have to contend with that. And we had another example of the whole Dominic Cummings saga ambushing the government this afternoon at the Daily press conference when Matt Hancock, the health secretary, was ambushed by a question from a member of the public and looked like he was making up policy on the hoof because he was wrong-footed by someone saying, will you reverse the fines that have been imposed on people for travelling somewhere to get childcare? It's not clear anybody was fined for that, but it's symptomatic of the chaos pretty much round here the day after Dominic Cummings' press conference. The morning after the press conference that was supposed to draw a line, Dominic Cummings was still drawing fire. Tory MP after Tory MP issued messages calling for him to go, under pressure from constituents who felt the Prime Minister's top aide had broken the lockdown rules they had obeyed, often at great personal sacrifice. The Scottish Office Minister and professional football referee Douglas Ross rang the Prime Minister last night to tell him he was resigning as a minister because he couldn't defend Dominic Cummings keeping his job.
I've looked at this long and hard. I'm proud to, go to school a couple of miles from here. This is my community, my home community, and I feel better to go out in my community explaining my decision, having resigned from government today, than I could have done if I'd remained part of it and supported some of the actions.
MPs from all wings of the party reported a torrent of hostile emails attacking the hypocrisy of the government aide helping to issue stern shutdown instructions but not following them himself.
I probably had to deal with 950, 1,000 emails in the last 2.5 days.
How you doing, my friend?
I sense that most colleagues have had that sort of number. People saying, we have done this sacrifice. Why can't you, as the government? And I think that's really playing into the British sense of fairness.
The body that speaks for NHS leaders said the saga was threatening the government's public health message.
The leaders of the healthcare system throughout the country have been concerned at this saga, among others, and the effect that it may have on staff confidence and indeed public confidence in terms of the guidance that government is issuing.
Some Tory MPs said opinion polls surfacing today came as no surprise. One from YouGov suggested 71% of the population thought Dominic Cummings had broken the lockdown rules, though he denies that. Nearly 60% said he should resign. The Dominic Cummings saga triggered a question from the public at the daily Downing Street press conference.
Will the government review all penalty fines imposed on families travelling for childcare purposes during lockdown? Thanks.
Well, thank you, Martin. It's a very good question. I think, especially coming from a man of the cloth, I think that is perfectly reasonable to take away that question. I'll have to talk to my Treasury colleagues before I can answer it in full. We'll make sure that we write to you with a full answer and make an announcement from this podium. I think we can make that commitment.
Officials rubbished the idea the Health Secretary had signalled a new policy, cancelling fines imposed for breaches of the lockdown. It's symptomatic of the government still tripping up over debris left from yesterday's Dominic Cummings press conference, including lingering questions over why he made a 1-hour round trip to Bard Castle during lockdown. Yesterday, he said COVID had affected his eyesight, so he was checking if he was able to drive back to London.
My wife said we should drive down the road and you should see if you can actually drive and see if your vision is weird or if you're okay.
We can go on a 60 mile.
Can COVID-19 actually affect your eyesight? Really?
I
can it affect a lot of things. Can it affect your eyesight?
Driven with my wife in order to make sure that what's the right way of putting it?
Dominic Cummings also drew attention to his far-sightedness in writing about coronaviruses before many others.
For years, I have warned of the dangers of pandemics. Last year, I wrote about the possible threat of coronaviruses and the urgent need for planning.
But the blog he wrote last year doesn't appear to have mentioned coronaviruses. Research suggests that paragraph discussing them was inserted last month. A sense that Dominic Cummings was curating his own place in history will fuel his critics. Even some of those calling for him to go worry what the government would look like without the man who does so much to shape it.
So what is the mood in Durham about Mr Cummings' decision to drive there from London and to visit Barnard Castle, ostensibly, as Gary said, to test his eyesight? Jane Dodge has been to find out whether people in the North East think his actions were understandable or could have put their area at greater risk.
It was a 5-hour journey from one end of the country to another, a journey to what Dominic Cummings described as a safe place. It was also to the area of the UK where people are most worried about the coronavirus, according to data released today by the Office of National Statistics. In a snapshot of opinions in Durham city centre, only one person thought it was a justified journey.
It's still worse than what people are doing on the beaches and going up mountains and this, that and the other and calling out the emergency services. It's no different. It's just that he's got a little bit of a higher profile.
I think a lot of people would have forgiven him if he'd actually apologised for what he's done, because he has broken some of the rules. So yeah, and I think a lot of people think he's been stupid to do it.
He tells a good story, but nobody believes it. Basically, it's and I think really it's paving the way for everybody to kind of slacken down. Slacken up with lockdown rules now.
It wasn't just one journey of 264 miles from London to Durham on the 28th of March. On the 3rd of April, Dominic Cummings drove from his parents' home to the hospital to collect his wife and son. On the 12th of April, he drove to Barnard Castle and back, stopping off in Woods on the way home. A 60-mile round trip.
Stopping at
And on
Woods on the way home?
13th of April,
Where's
he
he
drove
going?
back to London. A grand total of around 588 miles. It was the trip to Barnard Castle which has left some here scratching their heads. Dominic Cummings said he wanted to check if he was safe to drive because his eyesight seemed to have been affected by the disease. He chose to take his wife and son, and then when he got there, he said he felt sick. Dominic Cummings said he sat on the riverbank for 15 minutes until he felt better. That's left one local MP struggling to understand why he took the risk.
Dominic Cummings.
Started off
Dominic
with somebody
Cummings
for him because
is,
I think a lot
again,
of people may be
another
in similar positions.
joke
who've
this
got,
country's ever
children.
seen.
But if it's about childcare, Dominic Cummings then went on to take his child in a car on a 60-mile round trip to Barnard Castle to see if his eyesight was okay. Well, that's not responsible parenting in my book. What should he have done?
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank
He should
you.
have
It's
stayed at
not.
home and self-isolated.
Mary Foy is Mr Cummings' parents' MP. She's one of 3 local Labour MPs. Yesterday, a local Tory MP, Deanna Davison, tweeted, "I sincerely hope that reports that Dominic Cummings travelled to tourist spots in Barnard Castle are not true, as I know my constituents would expect those with power to follow the same guidelines and make the same sacrifices we all have to make." Today, she didn't reply to our request for an interview. None of the Conservative MPs in the North East we asked for an interview were available. But this story is far from over. Durham Police is still considering a request for an investigation into Mr Cummings' visit.
Jane Dodge.
So
Although
that
I'm
should
joined by the former Chief Prosecutor from the northwest of England, Nazia Afzal, who spent nearly a quarter of a century prosecuting cases. Mr. Afzal, how could they have stayed within the rules and done that trip?
I can't think of how. If you look at the regulations, John, it doesn't just define what a reasonable excuse is, but it gives you a dozen examples, none of which would apply to what Mr. Cummings did. I think he wanted to rely upon one that says you should be able to care for a vulnerable person, but that was brought in, as was the other one about escaping the risk of harm for victims of domestic abuse who might have to leave because they are likely to suffer harm. There is nothing in the reasonable excuses, certainly the list that's in the regulations, that would permit the journey, not just the journey to Durham, the journey then to Barnard Castle and back, or the journey back to London. It is, without a doubt in my mind, a breach. The issue then is what consequences flow from that.
But you're a former prosecutor. You would admit that there's actually not enough law here to prosecute, is there?
Well, now there isn't. The reality is that what's happened in the last few days has just delivered chaos, confusion, complexity. What was a lesson that, or a message that all of us knew, namely to stay at home and self-isolate if we're suffering. I've been spoken to, I remember people spoken to me today and said, well, what should I do in these circumstances? And I find it really difficult now to advise them, given the Prime Minister and his government have in effect said to Mr. Cummings that he's allowed to breach the regulations as he did. So there aren't any consequences that will follow legally.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back with you very shortly.
Penalty that might be applied to him. The reality, however, is what it's done to the messaging to the public, that they now don't really know what they should be doing and they think that maybe this gives them carte blanche to literally ride a coach and horses to the regulations.
Well, you have a pretty good relationship with police sources. I'm just wondering how easy their job is now. I mean, has this made it complicated, or is it all dead straightforward?
It was very difficult from the outset. As you know, there was some overzealousness because police officers aren't trained to deliver a lockdown or enforce a lockdown. They told me, and I speak to them regularly, that it's become more and more complicated, more and more difficult. In fact, some have said to me the last 24 hours, it's now impossible. They just do not know how they can possibly enforce these regulations, given what government has set out, particularly the Attorney General, who said, in effect, that what Mr. Cummings did was lawful. We know, those of us who are lawyers and looked at it, that it wasn't lawful, it was a breach. But that means that mixed messaging has literally given the police an impossible job.
Well, if he doesn't sack Mr. Cummings, perhaps what the Prime Minister needs to do is to come out and make a public declaration as to what people should do. Would you think that might be the right move?
Well, retrospectively, yes, we need some clarity, absolutely. The Prime Minister should say, right, this has happened, this is what the law should be. But it flows also in terms of consequences from there was no apology yesterday for Mr. Cummings, and then government ministers have stood by him throughout the last 24 hours or so. That message, you can't erase that. People have already seen and heard that. So whatever the Prime Minister now says, unfortunately, it's tinged and tainted by what he's already done.
Supposing I'd said to you, look, this is so sensitive, we need you to come down to London and do a face-to-face interview on all this. Could you have done it legally within all these regulations?
If there's an exception that says if I'm traveling for work, but that would be to my normal workplace. It wouldn't be traveling 200 miles down to London. You know, my mother is on an oxygen tank in Birmingham. My brother died from COVID. I wasn't able to go to his funeral. You know, we've all had to make sacrifices. This is a shared responsibility.
I am back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
All of us.
I am back.
Are affected by it.
My sympathy, Mr. Ansel. I'm so sorry to hear that, but thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Okay, look, there's the nincompoop, Boris Johnson, and there's the other nincompoop.
The funeral industry has been ripping off the public for more than a decade because the majority of people don't know the simple trick that
Good evening. It's 9 o'clock, an hour to go until the polls close, an hour to go until we reveal the findings of the exit poll, an hour to go in the Brexit election.
Oh, this is not new. This is not new.
Virtual audience, email after the pandemic at sky.uk or go to skynews.com. That's After the Pandemic, our new world, live on Sky News at 8 p.m. from Monday.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look. Well, I'll show you what these nincompoops have to say, shall we? Let's see what these nincompoops have to say.
Now, it is, of course, impossible to cut someone's hair while keeping 2 meters away from them. So while most shops in England will reopen on June the 15th, that won't include barbers or hairdressers. In the absence of professionals, people have been doing the job themselves with what we might politely call variable levels of success. Our Tom Parmenter, who himself has had to improvise, reports now on the boom in home hairdressing.
The scissors are sat idle, the clippers are silent, and people have been forced into DIY.
You mentioned Conor McGregor. I look like I'm from Burnley or something.
For many, it's been one of the few things to smile about in lockdown. I've also sat in the chair with my wife brandishing the clippers. The front is certainly easier than the back. If you don't look too closely, it's a pretty good job, but there is a much more important issue here, and that is that this entire industry of people who cut hair professionally still don't have any idea when they'll be able to reopen. There are customers all over North Manchester phoning Joanna, asking when she's opening.
We need a specific date so that we can get ourselves ready.
She's already got some of the protective gear and wants to do the right things, but knows that others are not.
One time, I passed a salon where the guy, it's open the shutters a little bit and somebody waiting outside. And when I said to the guy in the car, I said, you are the people that are not making this thing go away. And he said, well, yeah, I told the barber and he wouldn't. I said, well, you are sitting there, you're going to have your hair cut. And that is wrong.
If you really can't wait, you can also book a stylist to sit with you to talk you through it online.
Don't flick, don't stop, just straight up. Go for it. You can switch them on. Dun, dun, dun.
You go from low to high to big and sideways.
It's £15 a go. Lockdown Haircuts is a start-up business that's paying wages and donating profits to the NHS.
When you're looking into a video call every single day and your hair doesn't look very good, as mine doesn't again today, is that, if your hair doesn't look good, you don't feel good.
Like so many other businesses, it will come back, but it won't be the same for quite some time. Tom Parmenter, Sky News.
Cannot wait. Coming up on Sky News.
Yeah, no, can I?
We'll have another look at the morning paper.
I miss my barber. I miss my barber. My barber is, he actually is a nice bloke, and I miss him. He does my hair, he cuts my hair, he trims my beard, and he does it cut. He does it brilliantly. He's excellent at it. I'm gonna find talking about not medically signed off from work due to depression and my learning disability. Alexa, what's the time?
It's 1:29 a.m.
Thank you. Come on, people. Come on. Come on, use that, you people. Cheers, for good one to keep an update on the coronavirus.
You're watching Sky News. Our top stories this morning. More than 30 Conservative MPs have called for the resignation of the Prime Minister's chief advisor after he drove across the country with his family during lockdown. The NHS has announced plans to treat COVID-19 patients with an anti-Ebola drug. And a serious case review has found opportunities were missed to protect 14-year-old Jaden Moody, who was killed in a drugs turf war last January.
Oh boy.
There's Anna now with another look at the papers.
Well, hello there, you're watching the press preview. A first look at what is on the front pages. In the next half hour or so, then, we will see what's making the headlines with the economist and former Labour Party advisor, James Meadway, and the director of the Academy of Ideas, Claire Fox. Great to see you both. Hello to you. Get your thoughts in just a moment. First of all, let's check out the front pages. The Eye reporting on polling, which suggests an increasing number of the members of the public believe the Prime Minister's chief advisor, Dominic Cummings, did break the lockdown rules by making a long-distance journey and should resign. The Telegraph has the same story, reporting that at least 35 Tory MPs have said Mr Cummings should step down. That is also the lead story for The Guardian, rising Tory revolt, they say, over the Prime Minister's refusal to ditch Mr Cummings. Daily Mirror has harsh words for the Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove's defence of Mr Cummings' alibi. Fast and furious, their headline. Daily Star carries a warning from police not to copy his driving practices. While the Times says the Prime Minister's own personal approval ratings have dropped. The Metro has word that hours after the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, announced a review into the issuing of fines for breaches of the lockdown, Number 10 denied it was in the pipeline. Daily Mail suggests housing estates could be forced into their own bespoke lockdowns if the virus flares up again. Not just for them, though, hospitals, schools and offices could do the same. The Sun, his plans are underway to again allow members of two different households to meet. In the same vein, the Yorkshire Post reminds readers of Lynn from Skipton, who expressed concern at a Downing Street briefing that she couldn't hug her grandchildren. Daily Express splashes on plans to experimentally use the anti-Ebola drug remdesivir to treat COVID-19 patients. And the FT leads with concerns over government debt in Eurozone countries. So let's get the thoughts then of James Meadway and Claire Fox. Welcome to you. There's a bit of a lag, isn't there, in the postbags of MPs, which seem to be filtering through. If we take a look at the Eye to start with, public backlash over support for Cummings, public backlash and indeed, James, a backlash in the Conservative Party, it seems.
Yeah, I think two at once. I think the backbench pressure, which is MPs from right across the political spectrum saying that they've had a deluge, an unusual deluge of complaints from their constituents about all of this, is one part of it. The other part is the top echelons of the Tory party clearly turning against Dominic Cummings now. The Telegraph elsewhere says that maybe up to 9 cabinet members have privately suggested he should go. It looks like he has a very short political lifespan at this point in time, and perhaps a sensible thing would have been for him to do a bit of Peter Mandelson and disappear early on rather than try and cling on like this, but here we are.
Here we are indeed. This is the man who liked to style himself as a man of the people, who understood the people better than the elite. And here he's being accused as acting as a member of the elite. Where does he go from here, Claire?
Well, there's no doubt about it that people are very angry because they feel as though they were told a set of rules that then, quite reasonably, I thought, Dominic Cummings said he interpreted in the best of his ability to be reasonable. And actually, if you read all of the guidelines, it always makes exceptions and says you can use your discretion and judgment. But that's not been the point that the behavioural psychologists and behavioural scientists and the government with Dominic Cummings have chosen to push. So in some ways you could say he's been hoisted on his own petard. But I think a couple of things in relation to the papers. This is now something of a civil war in the Tories. You know, nobody should be surprised that Dominic Cummings he's not been a popular guy in the Tory party, and there's an awful lot of people seeking their revenge now. And that you could say that's politics, and he's going to suffer as a consequence of that. But you can also say that that's not necessarily in the interest of a public. Supposedly it's about public health panic, but the feeding frenzy from the media, the internal civil war amongst the Tories, and genuine anger amongst the public. I don't doubt that. But a combination of those things means that we've almost forgotten this is about coronavirus. That in the end, he drove to Durham.
Sweetheart,
just let me say that.
Haven't
he drove to Durham.
If this is about
used his discretion.
Shut up, woman. All right. We haven't forgotten this is about the coronavirus. We know full well it's about the coronavirus, COVID-19, but government, and I will say it again, government obviously clearly do not know what they are saying, or the right hand is saying from the left hand. Right? We shouldn't be easing our lockdown. We should be making it more stricter, stopping people from going out for daily exercises. People who has their own back gardens, they can do their own back garden, the daily exercises in their own back gardens or in their houses. People can do people can do their daily exercise either in their own back garden or in front of a TV with an exercise program on, exercise DVD, whatever. All right. The only time that we should be allowed out in this pandemic is to go for our weekly shop once a week. All right. When Boris Johnson shouldn't have said not to wear masks and disposable gloves. Right? He's caught the bloody COVID-19 himself. He should have changed his plea when he came back into the planes, which wear everyone to wear disposable gloves, and encourage people to actually make their own masks. All right. If they don't want people taking disposable masks from the NHS, encourage people to make their own masks out of old T-shirts, old shirts, and so on. All right. And that way they're actually washable. You can wash them and dry them. You can wash one, wear one, wash one, wear one. So they're always clean. There's like a reduction line there. Right? That's what they can do. Right? But are they doing it? Are they hell? Right? Are they hell? Boris Johnson, you can't organise a piss up in the Bury until you've actually put the lockdown, a stricter lockdown in place, stopping people from going out for just daily exercise and really nearly when they want to like, oh, I want to go out for a daily exercise. No, you shouldn't be allowing that. You shouldn't be allowing it full stop. It is not ideal. Right? In fact, it's something wrong. Right? So yeah. Let's go listen to this one.
To drive to Durham. And some people will say, well, nobody else has ever driven anyway. I mean, lots of people have driven for walks. People have interpreted the lockdown in a particular way, not flagrantly, and as a consequence of a very rigid and almost draconian way that this lockdown is now being interpreted, it's as though he has committed the crime of the century. And I'm concerned that rather opportunistically, the people who wanted to get him for a long...
What? Oh, look. It's got fucking hot chip in their mouth there, isn't it? That time's up for now.
Time and using this. And I'm no great fan of his.
Oh, now she looks like she's stoned. Oh well, I think stay there a minute. Calm down, love. Take this moment to sort of have a chill moment, right? Right. What you should have done is get everyone to wear masks, but encourage people to make their own masks. Get people to order a lot more disposable gloves right, to come into this country, what we need, right? He shouldn't be blamed. Boris Johnson shouldn't be blaming the members of the public. Right, members of the public are doing what they need to do to keep not just themselves safe, but everybody else safe. Right, Boris Johnson. Yes, like I said before, I'm saying it again. You are a joke. Nothing more, nothing less than a joke. All right. So, if you don't like people calling you nothing more than nothing less than a joke, if you don't like people calling you a joke, then do us all a favour and start running this country the way it's supposed to be run. Right? Run this country like it's supposed to be run, my friend. Right? I didn't vote for you. I actually voted for the Green Party. I don't care who knows who I voted for. I voted for the Green Party because Green Party wanted to help single parents on the breadline, single parent families on the breadline, the elderly in care homes, the disabled community, right, and the gay, bisexual, lesbian, and transgender community. Right? Sorry, we all have got our own little communities. We've got the disabled community, we've got the straight community, we've got the non-disabled community, we've got the gay, bisexual, transgender, lesbian community, right? We all have. Sadly, it's just sad. I can't understand why we can't all just accept each other for who they are, for who we are, right? But sadly, no one can even get that into the here and actually think, hang on, okay, this person's disabled, or this person's gay, this person's bisexual, this one's a lesbian, this person's a transgender, or this one's whatever, right? And also, if you believe in God, you're religious, well done, right? Good on you, right? But there's also a lot of people in life that don't believe in God, right? Who are atheists. I'm one of them, right? And I think I accept that people do believe in God, and there is, right, and I accept that. But people who believe in God trying to get me to convert and change my way of thinking, which I am not about to allow people to do that. Right? I have made my decision, right, to become an atheist, and I'm sticking with it. Right? I know full well that Boris Johnson, going back to the coronavirus pandemic, right? We need to have this lockdown locked down properly, right? We need to be locked down properly. We can't allow people to come into our country, right, at this present time with this pandemic lean over us. Right? We have to lock down our airports tighter than a nun's crack. I mean that. Airports need to be tightened, needs to be shut down tighter than a nun's crack. Don't reopen until the coronavirus is sort of buggered off. All right. Ferry ports, dockyards, all right, again, needs to be closed down and locked down tighter than a nun's crack also, and not reopened until coronavirus buggers off. England, Britain, right, the UK, United Kingdom, we have our own a good enough food ration to last us, right, in this country, right? We've got enough shops that can reopen eventually after we actually do lose a lot more of that coronavirus death toll level, right? And then we can reopen the shops, but we can't reopen the borders until the rest of the countries have lost their level of COVID-19. all right? And if I was Prime Minister, if I took over from Boris Johnson, I want to say, right, we're going to lock down every ferry port, every dockyard, every airport, tighter than a nun's crack. Don't like it, lump it, right? That's what we're doing, right? If I was Prime Minister, I would say straight to the MPs, but go straight to the EU. Go, listen here, we're coming out of the EU. We don't bother with a deal because you're not having a deal. That's just another way of you having the last say over what we do. So we're not having it. Right? We're not putting up with a deal from you guys. Right? We can, because the UK can still trade with the rest of the world who are not in the EU. Right? The EU is a waste of time and a waste of money. Right? So we don't need the EU. So the EU, a bunch of uses no good waste of space. Right? Don't need that. Get rid of the EU. Don't need a deal from them. Right? That's what I put. So we don't need a deal from the EU. We're leaving. If they don't want to don't want to trade with us, that's not our problem. That's theirs. Because we can trade with America and all the other countries that's not in Europe, right? In the UK, in the EU, we don't need the EU. We can do everything in the EU. We don't, right? We should close our borders down, tighter than a nun's crack, and when at this top point in time, not let anyone in or out. But when it's all cleared off, then still keeping them locked down, tighter than a nun's crack, but only allowing certain people in to our country who's got the correct paperwork. If people come over here illegally, send them back the way they came. Right? That's my motto. That's what I would say. And sorry, I probably will have a load of dislikes on this live because of me saying this. But at the end of the day, my friends, I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered with the dislikes or the likes. Right? I'm not going to really moan about, oh, I've got a dislike, I've got a dislike. Okay, so I've got a dislike. Right? If people don't like my content, that's up to them. I can't please everybody all of the time. Right? I do believe we do need people coming over from other countries to make this country run smoothly. I do realise that. I'm not saying no to not having no one from other countries coming over here. Right? I'm not saying no to that. I just want people to come over here legally, with the correct paperwork, and who has a trade. If they want to come over here and live, they have to come over here with the correct paperwork, and have a trade that we want. And that's what Australia does. That's what Australia does. So why can't the UK do it? Right? And it's not just the Australians. The Australians do that. There's a lot of other countries do this. We don't have a trade to go to move to their countries. In certain countries, then they don't get in. Right? America, England, Britain, the UK, we should do the same. If they want to come over here to live, they need to have a trade that we want. Right? A trade that we want. And if they don't have a trade that we want, they're not getting in. Right? And if people come over here illegally, we just send them straight back. The same way that they came. Either on the back of a lorry, in a rubber dinghy, just send them back the way they came. So we don't want you, go back. If you want to come back over here, come back over here legally with the correct paperwork. Don't come over here legally. Right? At the moment, the UK sadly is actually the Welsh doormat. We are being walked all over by this government, not wanting to say no to anyone. Right? Not wanting to say no and run this country properly. They don't want to do that. The Queen has got a lot of power, and we need to get the Queen to sort of say something to Boris Johnson. Look, no, this is what we're going to happen. This is what we're going to happen. We're going to lock our borders down quicker than tighten and uncrack. She would say tighten and uncrack, but she would say we're going to lock our borders down very tightly. Right? And we're letting no one in or out. Right? No one out, in or out. No one going to other countries to pick up supplies. No other country come in to pick up supplies from us. Well, at this moment, we've got coronavirus leaning over us. Right? We all need to keep our countries, all of us from around the world, we need to keep our countries safe from every other country. At the moment, France, America, and all that, they don't want to catch coronavirus from the UK. And at the moment, we're one of the highest with the death toll, right? Well, the coronavirus, right? Because the kind of COVID-19, right? We're one of the highest because Boris Johnson never took it seriously. Never took it seriously, right? And my dog is crying, so I go, what I'm going to do, ladies and gents, I'm going to let this lady now talk away while I'm taking my dog out to do her business, okay? Again, she's wanting to go out.
He was much more pro-lockdown than I would be. We disagree on a range of things, but I worry about the hounding of someone in this way, and then that creates this huge furore. And I honestly think that there's much more important things that we should be concentrating on, whether he goes or not. I just wish he wasn't going on this issue, that's all.
James?
There are other advisors who have to quit over breaking the rules in a much less serious way than what has happened here. Look, to be honest with you, if you accept the power of sitting in number 10 Downing Street and advising the Prime Minister, you also have to accept the responsibilities. You will be held to a higher standard. And deciding to just drive 260 miles, whatever your justification is, when you have been telling the whole country that you can't do this, is definitely going to be a problem. There isn't any way out of this. You will be held to a higher standard. You should be held to a higher standard. People expect you to be held to a higher standard, and that is why so many people are so angry about this. There are people who really suffer because they try to observe the rules. And to see the member of this elite, this establishment, because that's what Dominic Cummings is, don't forget that, this elite holding to the rules that they try and force on the rest of us and ignoring them themselves, it angers people, and rightly so. That's what's coming through here. And if it's also feeding this argument in the Tory party, well, that's something that's happening as well. God knows what happens to the Tory party if Dominic Cummings goes, by the way. Does Boris Johnson stay in? Who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a really interesting question, isn't it? Why is he quite so important? But should there be allowed to be an elite? I mean, people were railing at the fact that the future King of England, Prince Charles, was allowed a test, and that was an absolutely terrible thing that should be saved for NHS workers and so on. If he is that crucial to the Prime Minister, who, to be fair, was incapacitated at the time, but if he is so important, then should he be allowed to have an exception and go and get help where he needed it? And that, to be fair, was 260 miles away, Claire.
Well, I think it's quite interesting, this elite thing, isn't it? Because, you know, there is an elite and you can rail against it. I mean, I do think there are political advisors, they are important. I mean, I've been on this programme over the years defending Jeremy Corbyn's right to have a political advisor in Seamus Milne, who had a different set of rules than anyone else, it seems to me. I mean, I've had to listen the last few days to Alistair Campbell talking about how dare somebody who's just a Prime Minister's advisor think he's special. Alistair Campbell! I mean, come on. I mean, this is a kind of weird one, right? So what I think is that Dominic Cummings is part of the people who run this country. And I don't like the fact that the Tories are in power, and I would rather that it was a different way. But I think that suddenly this concern, I mean, even in some of the reporting, we have people saying, you know, not everyone's got a farmhouse with a spare room or a spare house to go to. Well, that's true. And I actually would like a fairer society. But I just think that at the moment, everything is being thrown at this. And what I'm saying is the very specific issue of what he did is getting lost in a whole range of rage against him for all sorts of other reasons.
Well, let's take a look at the photograph on the front of The Guardian, which is 2 police officers outside his house. We've seen, recently neighbours screaming at him that he's a hypocrite. He said in his news conference that he felt that his home was being targeted at the time. It wasn't long after Brexit in some respect. Is that a reason for him to, if both he and his wife are unwell, they've got a child to look after, he's important in the government, to take refuge somewhere else, James, or not? Security matters.
Here's the thing that sort of bugs me about that. That could be a reasonable excuse if you explain to people, not even an excuse, it's a reason. It's like, okay, there is this problem, I have this job, there are specific circumstances, explain that to people, and then that's what you do. What's really striking about this is that he's not done any of this. And by the way, I think people will be understanding. They'd say Dominic Cummings has an important job, there are particular conditions for his job. Probably people would be understanding about that if he'd explained, but he hasn't. It was after the fact. It was after he was caught out that we try and get an explanation about this. This is what angers people, that after weeks and weeks and weeks of a lockdown that people have diligently observed, because they know that this matters for public health. They know it matters. If it's not for them or their family or their friends, it matters for someone else, and people observed it, to say nothing for the people who've observed it and watched members of their family die or not watch them because you can't watch them. That's what's happened here. That's why people are so angry. That's why you get 71% of people saying he did the wrong thing. Perhaps he did explain beforehand. Perhaps this master communicator had managed to explain to people it was necessary to do this before doing it.
It's a nincompoop.
It would be more sympathetic. But
It's a fucking joke.
Yeah, the Guardian headline then, rising Tory revolt over the Prime Minister's refusal to ditch Dominic Cummings. Very similar, in fact, for the Daily Telegraph as well. Tories revolt as voters turn on Cummings. The question is what happens next? It seems to be a broad spectrum of MPs who have actually written asking for Dominic Cummings to go in the Conservative Party, not just Remainers, as you might anticipate, Claire, people like Mark Harper and so on who don't tend to have an axe to grind. Can he stay, do you think? The Prime Minister's staked a lot now on defending him.
Well, as I say, I think they should hold their nerve. I don't suppose they will. Jeremy Hunt is the latest one. There's a big Times double centre page spread, in fact, and he's probably the most high profile. I'm not trying to make it into a Brexit Remainer thing because I know lots of people who voted Leave are as angry with him as anyone else. It can feel as though some of the media people who got a particular dislike for him haven't quite forgiven him for Brexit, but that's as it is. What I do think though, it seems to me to be very important, is that he's come to symbolise something. And I thought it was interesting that James said, if only he'd explained it, and it did seem quite reasonable, and he explained about his job, then people would take that. And what I thought was interesting was that he did explain it. It might be after the fact, but in fact, since he's explained it, then actually everyone's just said, we don't believe you, load of rubbish. What a load of rubbish that is. I think that when he explained it, it sounded reasonable to me. Whether, in fact, he should have explained it earlier or the rest of it, I get. So the reason I'm mentioning that is because it now seems that even though he gave a reasonable explanation in an extraordinary situation, fact of him going to the press and so on, whether it was too late or to save his skin or whatever the reasons, it hasn't quelled the backlash. Yes. Even though the people, as I saw it when they were watching it, were saying, well, this sounds reasonable, then there was such a furore after that it's kind of got people doubting what they saw, and people have now started saying, he's probably got to go.
Jeremy Hunt's letter to his constituents, because that is what we're quoting here, is actually really interesting, as you said. He says, having watched the broadcast yesterday, my own view is that what he did was a clear breach of the lockdown rules, coming back into work when he'd been with his wife who was ill, driving to Durham instead of staying at home and visiting Barnard Castle, etc. Then he goes on to say, but as someone who has been at the centre of a media storm with a young family, I know you do make mistakes in these situations. I made them myself. So what is more important, he goes on to say, is holding the government to account on whether we really are going to follow global best practice. I'll be questioning the Prime Minister at the Liaison Committee on Wednesday, which is at 4 p.m. MPs are furious, we're told, that they're only getting 20 minutes to talk to the Prime Minister about Dominic Cummings. Surely it's now time to put that aside and talk about the really big issues about how to get the testing better, get PPE better, get all those care homes issues better. And the fact that MPs are furious about the 20 minutes on Dominic Cummings shows actually maybe this has got a bit skewed, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's a whole list. There's a whole list of things you could interrogate this government about. What it's done virtually since the end of January. The World Health Organization flagged COVID-19 as an international public health emergency on January the 30th. It was known for a long time that this was serious. And we had a government that sort of took the blasé attitude that, we'll style it out, we'll take it on the chin, I think was the expression that was doing the rounds at some point. And you can see the consequences. The Sunday Times investigation last weekend made those consequences very, very clear. Now, Dominic Cummings' actions in the middle of all this are simply indicative of an attitude of a government which sees itself as the elite, believes it can follow an entirely different set of rules. This is very clear to what everybody else is doing, and Dominic Cummings can try and get away with this. And he's dragging the whole government into this. This is extraordinary. He's a special advisor. He's not elected. He's basically a nobody who sometimes gets to talk to the Prime Minister. But here he is dragging cabinet ministers into all of this nonsense, and the rest of us have to put up with this. Of course people are angry.
Okay, we'll see how it comes out, certainly. But full coverage of the liaison committee with the Prime Minister being questioned by senior MPs at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. Well, coming up, let's get together. We will be discussing socialising in a post-pandemic world, the talk of the social bubble after the break.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave this live broadcast here now, but I will be back later. Tomorrow at 8 because I'm going to give another go at dyeing my hair blue with live here on YouTube, and hopefully I get a bigger bigger turnout. So please, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to see GSS videos dye his hair blue, I'm not doing the whole of my hair. I'm just going to do the top bit this time. I dyed the first bit. The first time I dyed all my hair blue, different shade of blue. All right, but I'm gonna dye just the top bit blue. Okay. So it should be a little bit more better, if you know what I mean. And you'll also find out more about what they're going to talk about with the pandemic, the current pandemic, COVID-19, all right, later on today, okay? So until the next live broadcast later on today, take care of yourselves and each other, and when you're out and about, please keep your distance, please social distance, please wear your masks, either your disposable masks or your homemade masks, and please wear disposable gloves and hand sanitizers. And when you get home, wash your hands thoroughly. Give yourself, make yourself cough or sneeze. That's what scientists are saying. Okay, just to sort of clear your throat, clear your nose from all the germs that's outside. Okay, my friends, ladies and gents, boys and girls, I have lost one of my dear friends because of coronavirus. All right, and I am really hacked off with the government not taking it seriously enough. I'm hacked off with other members of the public that are also not taking it seriously enough. But they are not taking it seriously enough because the government are not taking it seriously enough. All right. Yeah, Boris Johnson, I have the balls to speak up. All right. Okay. Until the next time, ladies and gents, I'll be back with you. Take care of yourselves and each other, and do not, at this moment in time, do not go visit friends and family who you do not live with. Right? Stay at home unless you need to go out for your weekly shop, or if you're a key worker and you need to go to work, please, key workers, take care of yourselves and who you work with. All right, wear your masks, wear disposable gloves and hand sanitizers. All right, and whenever you can, social distance. Okay, take care of yourselves, my friends. Bye bye.